There's a particular kind of loneliness that feels almost embarrassing to admit. You're not actually alone. You have people around you. You go to work, you answer messages, you laugh, you keep yourself busy. But there's one woman you keep checking your phone for. And when she doesn't text, you tell yourself you're fine. Then you look again. Maybe she's online. Maybe she saw your message. Maybe she's just busy. And somewhere underneath all those explanations is a quieter question you probably wouldn't say out loud. Does she miss me at all? Because wanting someone to miss you isn't really about making them suffer without you. Not when you strip away the internet advice and the little dating games. Usually, it's about wanting to feel that your presence actually mattered. That when you leave the room, something feels different. That when your name appears on her screen, she feels something. And there's an important distinction here. You cannot force genuine longing into another person. You can't manufacture attachment by disappearing for exactly 3 days, pretending not to care, or calculating how long to wait before replying. Those things might create curiosity for a moment, but curiosity isn't connection. And this is where many men accidentally make themselves less memorable while trying desperately to become unforgettable. They give too much. Too many messages. Too much availability. Too many explanations. Too much emotional energy. They keep trying to prove, I'm here. I care. I want you. And she never really gets the chance to wonder where he is. Think about a man who always responds immediately, not because he happens to be free, because he's watching the phone. He notices the little typing bubble. It disappears. He waits. Then, finally, her message arrives. He answers within seconds. Then another message. Then another. And eventually, without realizing it, the conversation becomes something he is carrying almost entirely by himself. He thinks he's showing interest. She may simply be experiencing constant access. Those are not the same thing. There's nothing wrong with being available. In fact, emotional availability can be one of the healthiest qualities a person has. But availability without a life of your own can start to feel different. Because when your entire emotional world begins revolving around one person, you stop bringing a full life into the relationship. You bring a need, and people can feel that, not always consciously. Sometimes it's just a subtle shift. The conversation becomes heavier. The attraction feels less natural. And the man who was once interesting starts becoming predictable. If this is already touching something uncomfortable in you, stay with me. And if you appreciate conversations that go deeper than dating tricks, you can subscribe. There's more underneath this than simply learning how to make someone miss you. Because the first thing that makes a woman miss your presence has surprisingly little to do with her. It begins with what happens inside you when she isn't there. And once you see that, you may realize why some men are remembered long after they leave, while others are forgotten almost immediately. There's something a little strange about being genuinely confident. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to walk into a room trying to look important. And you certainly don't need a woman to keep reassuring you that you matter, because when a man feels secure in himself, his behavior changes in very quiet ways. He doesn't rush to fill every silence. He can enjoy a conversation without desperately trying to keep it alive. He can leave a message unanswered for a while because he's actually living his life, not because he's trying to create some psychological effect. That distinction matters. Imagine she sends you a message late at night. Hey, what are you doing? You're sitting at home. Part of you wants to answer immediately. Another part remembers some advice you heard. Don't reply too quickly. Make her wonder. So you deliberately wait 2 hours, then 3. You finally respond. But inside, you've spent the entire 3 hours thinking about her. That isn't confidence. That's anxiety wearing a very convincing costume. And women, like men, can often sense when something feels forced. Real confidence looks much less dramatic. You answer when you genuinely have the time. You stay warm. You don't punish her with silence. But you also don't abandon whatever you were doing just because she appeared on your screen. That's the first shift. Your attention becomes something you give, not something you surrender. And there's another part of this that men sometimes overlook. A woman is more likely to notice your absence when your presence has emotional quality, not constant quantity. Think about someone you know who can sit beside you for an hour and barely say anything, yet somehow you feel calmer afterward. Then think about someone who talks constantly. You leave the conversation exhausted. The difference isn't how much time they spent with you, it's how you felt while they were there. That's what tends to stay. Maybe you once had a conversation with her in a parked car. Nothing dramatic happened. You talked about her childhood. She laughed at something stupid. There was a quiet moment when neither of you said anything. You looked over. She looked back. And then the conversation continued. Months later, she may not remember every word, but she might remember how safe the silence felt. That's why presence matters more than performance. And this is where emotional maturity starts becoming surprisingly attractive. You listen without immediately trying to fix everything. You can disagree without becoming cold. You can show interest without becoming possessive. You can say, "I'd like to see you," without turning it into, "Why don't you ever make time for me?" Those are small differences, but small differences are often where people decide how they feel around you. And there's one more thing, something many men only understand after losing someone. You don't become memorable by constantly reminding someone of yourself. Sometimes you become memorable because you gave them a version of you that felt unusually real, and then you had enough self-respect to let them experience life without you. Because what happens when a woman suddenly realizes that the peace, laughter, attention, or emotional safety she felt around you isn't available on demand anymore? That's where missing someone begins to become real. And the next part is even more uncomfortable. Because sometimes the reason she doesn't miss you isn't that she doesn't care. It's that you never gave her enough space to discover whether she does. Space can reveal feelings that closeness sometimes hides. That sounds simple, but if you've ever cared deeply about someone, you know how difficult it is to actually practice. Because when you feel someone pulling away, your instinct may be to move closer. You send another message. You ask if everything is okay. You explain yourself. You try to restore the connection before it has even had time to breathe. And sometimes, that's exactly when the connection becomes harder to feel. Picture this. You had a great date. The conversation flowed. She laughed more than usual. When you said goodbye, there was that little hesitation neither of you mentioned. You go home feeling unusually good. Then you wake up the next morning and realize she hasn't messaged. By afternoon, nothing. Now your mind starts creating stories. Maybe she lost interest. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe she met someone else. And suddenly, you're no longer living your day. You're investigating her silence. This is where attachment can become confusing. When we care about someone, uncertainty can make us want certainty immediately. But another person's silence doesn't always tell you what you think it tells you. She may be busy. She may be unsure. She may be emotionally distracted. She may need space. Or yes, she may be losing interest. You don't always get to know which one it is immediately. And mature confidence means being able to tolerate that uncertainty without turning it into panic. That doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means caring without abandoning yourself. There's a beautiful difference between "I hope she texts me" and "I need her to text me so I can feel okay." The first is desire. The second is dependence. And when you stop making her response responsible for your emotional stability, something changes in the way you show up. You become less reactive. You stop performing. You stop trying to win every interaction. You can actually enjoy her. Not monitor her, enjoy her. That matters because emotional connection needs room. If every quiet moment gets filled, there's no opportunity for anticipation. Think about music. The pauses are part of the song. Not because silence is some trick, because without silence, your brain has nothing to anticipate. Human relationships can work in a similar way. A little distance can create room for memory. She might be driving home and suddenly remember something you said. She might walk past a restaurant you visited together. She might hear a song that reminds her of an evening with you. And notice what happened. You weren't there. You didn't send a reminder. You didn't say, "Remember me?" The memory appeared on its own. That is far more meaningful than manufacturing attention. But there's a deeper reason this works. People often miss not just a person, but the version of themselves they experienced around that person. Maybe she felt playful with you, maybe she felt listened to, maybe she felt feminine, confident, relaxed, understood. Or maybe she simply liked who she became when she was around you. That's something you cannot fake for long. And it leads to one of the most important things you can offer someone, an experience of you that isn't available everywhere. Not because you play games, because you actually develop qualities worth remembering. Your humor, your calmness, your curiosity, your way of noticing small things, your ability to disagree without making the other person feel unsafe, your willingness to say what you mean. Those things create emotional fingerprints, and once someone has experienced them, absence can make them surprisingly aware of what was there. But there is one mistake that can quietly destroy all of this. It happens when a man finally gives space, and then uses that space to keep score. She hasn't texted me. Fine, I won't text her. She took 6 hours. I'll take 12. Now he isn't creating space. He's building a courtroom in his head, and sooner or later, someone has to lose. The next shift is about making sure that person isn't you. There's a quiet kind of confidence that appears when you stop keeping score. You stop counting who texted first, who waited longer, who apologized, who liked whose photo, who seemed more interested. Because the moment you start measuring affection starts feeling like a negotiation, and nobody feels deeply connected inside a negotiation. Imagine she doesn't respond for an entire day. The old version of you might immediately think, I'm not texting again. Not because you don't want to, because you want her to feel your absence. So you wait. She waits. Now both of you are sitting on opposite sides of the same silence, pretending neither one cares. And underneath it, both people may care quite a lot. That's the strange thing about pride. It can make two people who want closeness behave like strangers. If you genuinely want to talk to her, talk to her. If you genuinely want to see her, ask. And if she repeatedly gives you little effort in return, you don't need to punish her, you simply notice. That's a boundary. A boundary isn't a threat, it's information. It says, quietly, this is what I'm willing to participate in, and this is what I'm not. There's something deeply attractive about a man who can do that without becoming bitter. He doesn't say, women always do this. He doesn't start posting things online hoping she notices. He doesn't suddenly become cold and mysterious. He just steps back from situations that repeatedly make him feel unwanted. And that creates a completely different kind of absence. She may notice. Maybe she wonders where you went. Maybe she doesn't. Either way, you have protected something more important than her attention. Your self-respect. And oddly enough, this is often where attraction becomes clearer. Because attraction has a way of exposing itself when there is freedom. If someone genuinely wants to move toward you, they usually have room to do that. You don't have to drag them. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to perform an endless audition. You can simply be clear. I'd like to see you this week. Then you let her answer. If she says yes, beautiful. If she says she's busy but suggests another day, there's information there too. And if she repeatedly says she's busy without ever creating another opportunity, that is information as well. Not a verdict on your worth. Just information about the connection. That distinction can save a man years of emotional confusion, because rejection often feels like a statement about who you are. But sometimes it's simply a statement about compatibility, timing, readiness, or interest. You don't have to turn every disappointment into a wound, and you don't have to turn every woman into a test you need to pass. You can let people choose. That's real freedom. Now there's another quality that makes someone difficult to forget. It has nothing to do with being perfect. In fact, it may be the opposite. It's the ability to let someone see something genuine underneath the composed exterior. A small admission. I was nervous before I saw you. A quiet confession. I actually cared what you thought about me. Not a dramatic emotional dump. Not forcing intimacy. Just enough honesty that she realizes there is a real person standing in front of her. Because when someone only shows confidence, they may be impressive. But when they show confidence and humanity, they can become emotionally memorable. And that's where the whole idea of making someone miss you starts changing. You stop asking, how do I make her think about me? And you start asking a much more revealing question. What does she experience when she is with me that she doesn't experience everywhere else? The answer to that question can change everything. Maybe the most memorable thing about you isn't what you say. Maybe it's how she feels when she doesn't have to pretend around you. Think about that for a moment. Not how impressed she is, Not how quickly she replies. Not whether she tells her friends about you. Just, how does she feel when she is with you? Can she laugh without worrying how she looks? Can she disagree with you without fearing that you'll withdraw? Can she tell you something vulnerable without immediately feeling judged? Can she sit quietly beside you without having to entertain you? Those experiences can stay with people, and they're not created by tactics, they're created through consistency. That's why the ninth thing might be the simplest and the hardest. Become someone whose absence is naturally felt. Not someone who disappears to create anxiety. Someone who genuinely brings something valuable into another person's life. Maybe you remember a man like that. Someone who didn't chase attention. He had his own interests, his own friends, his own standards. He listened. He teased you without humiliating you. He could be affectionate without becoming dependent. When he said he would call, he called. When something bothered him, he talked about it instead of creating a mysterious silence. And when he left, you noticed. Not because he engineered it, because his presence had substance. That's the difference. You don't need to become harder to reach. You need to become more fully yourself. Go somewhere without constantly wondering whether she would approve. Spend time with your friends. Build something. Take care of your body. Learn something that has nothing to do with dating. Have opinions. Have boundaries. Have a life that doesn't collapse when one person becomes distant. And if you care about her, let her know. That part matters too. There's a strange culture around relationships where men are sometimes encouraged to hide every emotion, as though caring itself makes them weak. It doesn't. You can say, I missed you. You can say, I enjoyed being with you. You can tell someone she matters to you. The strength is not in pretending you feel nothing. The strength is in being honest, without demanding that she manage your feelings for you. That's emotional maturity. And if she misses you, let it happen naturally. Maybe she sees something that reminds her of you. Maybe she reaches for her phone. Maybe she realizes the evening feels a little quieter. Maybe she doesn't. You cannot control that final part. And strangely, accepting that is one of the most liberating things a man can learn. Because the goal was never really to make any woman miss you badly. The deeper goal is to become the kind of man who doesn't need to manipulate absence to feel valuable. A man who can love without chasing, give without overgiving, step closer without losing himself, step away without resentment, speak honestly, listen carefully, and leave room for another person to choose him freely. Because when someone chooses you without pressure, there is something different about that. It feels calmer, cleaner, more real. And maybe tonight, when you put your phone down and the room gets quiet, you'll think about someone. You may wonder whether she misses you. You may never get a perfect answer, but perhaps there's a better question waiting underneath that one. Not, how do I make her miss me? But, if she remembers me tomorrow, what do I want her to remember feeling? That question changes the way you date, and eventually, it changes the way you live.